I never thought a new year could feel so cold. The snow had just started falling outside, soft and quiet, but inside my home, there was nothing warm. I was standing in the living room, holding a cup of tea, trying to make sense of what had just happened. My daughter and son-in-law had asked me to leave just like that right before the holiday. I remember the exact words. My daughter looked at me without even a flicker of emotion. "Mom, it's time for you to go," she said. I felt my chest tighten, my hands trembling slightly, but somehow, I smiled. Not the kind of smile that hides pain, but a calm one, as if I had known this moment was coming. I tried to speak, but my voice caught in my throat. I wanted to tell them how much I loved them, how many years I had spent making this house a home, but nothing came out. I just nodded. I packed a small bag, my heart heavier than the suitcase, and walked to the door. I turned back once, and for a moment, I thought I saw a flicker of guilt in my daughter's eyes, but it was gone before I could be sure. Outside, the cold air hit me like reality itself. The streets were quiet, lights flickered in the distance, and I walked slowly, my bag dragging at my side, thinking about all the years I had poured into this family. Birthdays, school mornings, late-night talks, tears, laughter. I had given everything, and, in return, I had been pushed out of my own home, on the eve of a holiday meant for family. As I walked away, I realized something important. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to beg. I had always believed that love was enough, but sometimes, love isn't seen the way we hope. And yet, even in that moment of hurt, there was a strange calm. I felt a quiet strength rising inside me. Maybe this was not the end but a beginning I couldn't yet see. I found a small hotel nearby. I unpacked my bag, and sat by the window, staring at the falling snow. It felt peaceful in a way, alone. Yes, but also free from the tension, the cold words, the invisible chains of expectation. I sipped my tea again, thinking about my children. I prayed silently, not for revenge, not for them to feel guilty, but for them to understand. One day, I didn't know what the next morning would bring, but I had a feeling it would change everything. Something was coming, something I could not have imagined. I had always been close to my children. From the moment they were born, I devoted myself completely. I remember holding my daughter in my arms when she was just a baby, humming soft lullabies while the world outside slept. My home was always filled with life, laughter bouncing off the walls, toys scattered across the floor, and the smell of cookies in the oven. I worked hard to make every corner warm, every meal special, every day feel safe. My daughter was my heart. She was bright, clever, and full of dreams. I celebrated every achievement, small or big, and comforted her during her failures. I had always tried to welcome him with open arms, even when it was difficult. I believed in patience, in understanding, in family above all. But over the years, subtle cracks had begun to appear, little disagreements here and there, misunderstandings that were left unspoken. I tried to ignore them, thinking they were just part of life. I reminded myself that love is quiet endurance. Yet, deep down, I felt the distance growing. My daughter seemed busier with work, with her own life, and I didn't want to be a burden. I never complained. I smiled. I tried harder. That Christmas season, I had prepared everything with love. I bought small gifts, decorated the house with care, and baked her favorite pie. I imagined us laughing together, sharing stories from the past year, just as we always did. I wanted to feel the warmth of family again, even after all the distance. But the night before New Year's, everything changed. A small comment turned into a cold dismissal. A minor frustration became a reason to ask me to leave. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just packed, carrying memories in my hands, and left. As I walked out, I kept thinking, had I failed them somehow? Or had life simply moved too fast for love alone to hold on? I didn't have the answer. All I knew was that I was standing in the silence, holding my bag, and watching the home I had built with care disappear behind me. If you felt this story in your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life emotional stories like this. Your support means the world, and every story we share brings us closer together. The next morning, I woke up in my small hotel room, to the sound of birds outside, a light snow covering the streets. I had slept fitfully, my mind running over the words my daughter had said the night before. "It's time for you to go." Those words echoed endlessly. I had tried to convince myself I wasn't hurt, but the ache in my chest told me otherwise. I sat by the window with a cup of tea, watching families walking together, bundled in coats and scarves, and I couldn't help but feel the weight of loneliness pressing down. Even though I was hurt, I didn't want to hold on to anger. I kept reminding myself of the love I had for my children. I thought of my daughter when she was a little girl, dragging her tiny suitcase to school, her eyes full of wonder. I thought of the birthdays we had celebrated, the nights I had stayed awake, soothing tears and fears. It was hard to reconcile those memories with the coldness of last night. Later that day, I received a call from a neighbor. "Your daughter seems upset," she said softly. I thanked her and hung up. My heart sank. Even in their frustration, I realized they hadn't thought about the consequences of their actions. I wondered if they would regret it, if they even felt any remorse. As the hours passed, I thought about my home, the familiar smell of cookies baking, the ornaments on the tree, the little notes I had left for my daughter to find. Everything felt unreachable now. My mind kept drifting back to the argument. It hadn't been a shouting match, just a quiet, almost mechanical dismissal. But that calmness made it sting even more. The absence of anger, the lack of acknowledgement, cut deeper than any yelling could. I started writing a letter to my daughter. I wrote slowly, carefully, pouring my heart onto the paper. I didn't blame her. I didn't accuse. I only wrote about love, about memories, about how much she meant to me. I wanted her to understand, someday, that even when hurt, my heart remained open. In the evening, I walked through the quiet streets, thinking about how fragile relationships could be. Small misunderstandings, left unattended, could grow into walls that separate hearts. I realized that while I couldn't force them to see my love, I could choose how I reacted. I could choose patience, even in the face of rejection. By the time I returned to my hotel, I felt a quiet resolve. Tomorrow would be New Year's Eve, and though I would be alone, I decided I would not let bitterness take root. I would trust that life has a way of teaching lessons, sometimes gently, sometimes in ways we cannot imagine. I sipped my tea once more, letting the warmth settle in my chest, and whispered to myself, maybe tomorrow, things will change. New Year's Eve arrived quietly, with soft snow falling outside my small hotel window. I dressed in my warmest coat and decided to take a walk, hoping the cold air would clear my thoughts. The streets were nearly empty, except for a few late-night shoppers and families returning home with smiles and laughter. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of what I had lost or what I thought I had lost at. As I walked, my phone buzzed. I hesitated before picking it up, unsure if I wanted to see any messages from my daughter. When I opened it, I saw a photo from her. It was our living room, decorated for the holidays. But there was something strange, an envelope on the table with my name written on it. A chill ran down my spine. I didn't understand. She had pushed me away, yet she had left a message, something she wanted me to see. I rushed back to the hotel and opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, written in my daughter's handwriting. It began simply, "Mom, I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't understand until it was too late." My heart ached as I read on. She apologized for her harsh words, for the coldness, for asking me to leave without explanation. And then came the part one never expected: a gift. A small box, carefully wrapped, with a note. "This is for you, Mom. Open it when you are ready." I held the box in my hands, feeling tears rise in my eyes. I had left my home, thinking it was over. But here, in my hands, was proof that love had not disappeared. It had only been hidden under pride, frustration, and misunderstanding. I opened the box slowly, revealing a delicate locket inside. Inside the locket were tiny pictures of our family, my daughter as a child, her first birthday, us together at the park. It was a reminder of the bond that could never truly be broken. At that moment, I understood something important. Sometimes, people push us away not because they don't love us, but because they don't know how to show it. And sometimes, forgiveness and patience are the greatest gifts we can give, not just to others, but to ourselves. I called my daughter, my voice trembling with emotion. "I got your gift. And your letter," I said softly. She responded with silence at first, then a whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't need more." In that moment, the cold, the hurt, the loneliness, all of it, melted away. And as I held the locket close to my heart, I realized that New Year's wasn't just a day for celebration. It was a reminder that love, when nurtured and understood, can heal even the deepest wounds. If you felt this story in your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life emotional stories like this. Your support means the world, and every story we share brings us closer together. The next morning, I woke slowly, still holding the locket close to my chest. I felt lighter somehow, as if a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying had finally lifted. I looked out the window at the soft sunlight reflecting off the snow, and for the first time since being asked to leave, I felt a quiet peace. The world was still moving, still full of life, and I had a choice, to dwell on the hurt, or to embrace the love that still remained. I decided to visit my home. I dressed carefully and took a deep breath before stepping out. The walk felt different this time, less heavy, less lonely. When I reached my front door, I hesitated. It had been months since I had felt like this was truly my home, but I reminded myself, home isn't just a place. It's the memories we carry, the people we love, and the love they leave behind, even if it's imperfect. When my daughter opened the door, I saw her eyes glisten. There was still embarrassment and regret in her expression, but also relief. I smiled gently, and she stepped aside without words, letting me enter. The house looked just like I remembered, the tree still decorated, the aroma of baked bread lingering faintly in the air. I set my bag down and looked around, remembering every moment I had here. The laughter, the tears, the holidays, the quiet nights. We sat at the table, silently at first. I could feel her tension, the weight of her apology that had yet to be spoken aloud. I reached over and touched her hand gently. I know you didn't mean it, I said softly. We all make mistakes. Her eyes filled with tears, and she whispered, I'm so sorry, Mom. That simple acknowledgement carried more weight than words could ever describe. For hours, we talked, not just about the argument, but about life, our fears, our dreams, and the moments we had almost lost. I listened as she shared her regrets, her frustrations, and I shared my own feelings, not in anger, but in honesty. We laughed quietly over memories, cried over what had hurt us, and slowly rebuilt the bridge that had been broken. By evening, I realized something profound. Forgiveness isn't just for them, it's for me, too. Holding on to hurt keeps the heart closed, but opening it allows love to flow, even after disappointment. And sometimes, the smallest gestures, a locket, a letter, a quiet conversation, can remind us of what truly matters. I stayed that night in my home, not as someone forced out, but as someone welcomed back with understanding, empathy, and love. And for the first time in days, I felt whole again. The days after New Year's felt different. There was a calm in the house, a quiet I hadn't noticed in years. It wasn't empty, it was warm. My daughter and I had shared words that needed to be said, tears that needed to fall, and slowly, the tension that had built up over time began to dissolve. Every room I walked into now felt lighter, as if forgiveness had swept through the walls, along with the winter sun. I watched my daughter carefully, noticing the small gestures that told me she had truly reflected on what happened. The way she made tea for me without asking, the little notes she left on my favorite chair, even the small smile when she saw me looking out the window at the snow. These things spoke louder than words ever could. I realized that sometimes actions heal faster than apologies. I also noticed a change in myself. For so long, I had carried a quiet sadness, a feeling that my efforts had gone unnoticed. But in this aftermath, I understood that love is not about recognition. It's about patience, presence, and understanding. And when it feels like it isn't returned, I felt lighter, not because the hurt disappeared, but because I had chosen forgiveness. And in that choice, I discovered strength I didn't know I had. We started spending time together again. Simple things, cooking meals, sharing a cup of tea, watching old family videos, became moments of connection. I learned to listen without judgment, and she learned to communicate without fear. The bond we had almost lost now felt renewed, fragile, yet strong. I realized how easily family can drift apart if we take love for granted, and how fragile hearts can be when pride gets in the way. At night, I would sit by the window, holding my locket, thinking about how close we had come to losing one another. I whispered quietly to myself, this is why patience matters. This is why love never gives up. The snow outside glistened softly under the streetlights, reflecting hope and the promise of new beginnings. And then I thought about all of you listening to my story, the mothers, the daughters, the families who have felt a rift that seemed impossible to mend. I wanted you to know something important. Love has a way of finding its path, even when we are pushed away. Sometimes, the hardest moments bring the most beautiful reunions. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life emotional stories like this. Every click, every share, and every subscription helps us continue bringing heartfelt stories that inspire and heal. As the days passed, I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened. I thought about the argument, the night I was asked to leave, and the quiet journey that followed. At first, it had felt like an Ndinga door closing on years of memories and love. But now, I realized it had been a beginning. Life has a way of teaching lessons in ways we don't expect. Remembered the little moments with my daughter, her laughter echoing in the kitchen, the small hands she held in mine when she was scared, the nights we stayed up talking about her dreams. Those memories weren't gone. They were still alive, tucked in the corners of my heart, waiting for us to reconnect. And reconnect we did. I reflected on patience. I had always thought patience was about waiting quietly, hoping for change. But it's more than that. Patience is about understanding that people make mistakes, that love can be clouded by pride, frustration, or fear. It's about giving others and ourselves the chance to heal, to grow, and to find our way back. I also reflected on forgiveness. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's not excusing hurtful actions. It's a choice, a conscious decision to let go of bitterness, to open your heart again, even when it's been broken. When I forgave my daughter, I wasn't just letting her off the hook. I was freeing myself. I was choosing peace over pain, love over resentment. In those quiet moments, I thought about the holiday season, about how easy it is to take family for granted. We get caught up in routines, in our own lives, in stress and responsibilities. We forget that every day with our loved ones is a gift, fragile and fleeting. And sometimes, it takes a harsh reminder, a cold word, a moment of separation, to make us see what truly matters. I also thought about the little locket she had given me, the pictures, the memories, the reminder of our bond. It wasn't just a gift. It was a symbol of hope, of understanding, of love that persists even when tested. I held it close and realized that family is not always perfect, but it is always worth fighting for. And I made a quiet promise to myself, to cherish each day, to speak words of love, to listen without judgment, and to never take for granted the people who matter most. Life is too short to hold grudges, too precious to waste on silence. Even now, when I sit by the window and watch the snow fall softly, I feel a deep gratitude for the lessons, for the love, and for the chance to rebuild what almost slipped away. I know that sometimes the hardest moments lead to the most beautiful transformations. As the days turned into weeks, our home slowly felt alive again. The laughter returned, not loud or forced, but soft, warm, and genuine. I noticed the little things. My daughter, leaving her coffee mug where I could see it, a gentle hug as she passed by, a quiet smile that said more than words ever could. It was in these small gestures that I realized love doesn't always need grand declarations. It lives in the quiet moments, the shared glances, the acts of care that speak louder than apologies. I reflected on the journey we had taken. Being asked to leave had felt like the end of everything, but it had also given us a chance to pause, reflect, and reconnect. Life has a way of testing us, of showing us what matters most. Sometimes, it pushes us away not to punish us, but to help us grow, to make us see the value of patience, understanding, and forgiveness. I also realized something important about myself. In the process of being hurt, I discovered strength I hadn't known existed. I learned that love isn't about being acknowledged every moment. It's about giving wholeheartedly, even when it isn't returned immediately. And when we give love unconditionally, it has a way of finding its way back to us, often in ways we least expect. The locket she gave me remains on my nightstand. Every time I look at it, I am reminded of the bond we share, of the challenges we faced, and of the lessons we learned together. It's more than just a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of resilience, hope, and the enduring power of love. As I share this story with you, I hope you understand something essential. Family may falter, words may wound, and moments may test us, but love, patience, and forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds. Life is fragile, relationships are precious, and sometimes, the smallest gestures, an apology, a letter, a quiet gift can change everything. So, if you're going through a hard time with your loved ones, remember this: never give up, hold your heart open, speak with kindness, listen with empathy, and trust that even when things seem lost, love can find a way back. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life emotional stories like this. Every like, share, and subscription helps us bring more heartfelt stories that inspire, heal, and remind us of the power of love.